Yo, welcome to Real Frank Rants. This episode, we're going to talk about this guy. That's Ryan Day, and he's lost his mind. He wants to pick a fight with an 86-year-old man because of some things that were said that hurt his feelings. Aww. He wants to fight him, and I actually have live video footage of the fight. Take a look. Can you believe that? That's but I have a feeling it goes much deeper than this. And I have a theory that I want to get into next.
Real Frank.
All right, let's get right into it. I'm sure you heard Ryan Day was extremely upset with Lou Holtz. He couldn't contain himself, and that was the first thing that popped in his mind when the end of the game of this exciting win with Ohio State winning on a last-second touchdown to beat Notre Dame. But he couldn't get one person out of his head that entire game, and that's the first thing he had to talk about. And I don't know if you're aware of what was actually said by Lou Holtz.
And everybody that beats him does so because they're more physical than Ohio State.
So all he said was everybody beats Ohio State when the other teams are more physical with them. What did he say that's not true? Everything he stated was pretty factual. There was nothing made up, nothing derogatory pushed towards Ohio State, nothing directed right at Ryan Day. Did you hear him say, Ryan Day's the worst coach ever? Ohio State can't win anything. Ohio State's garbage. Ryan Day dyes his beer with Just for Men. Nothing like that. All Lou Holtz was doing was any football fan out there has realized in the last few years, you get physical with Ohio State in a game, you most likely will win the trenches with them.
I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is right now. What he said about our team, I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio. It's always been Ohio against the world.
Lou Holtz really upset Ryan Day. I'd like to know where Lou Holtz is now. What he said about our team. I cannot believe. This is a tough team right here. We're proud to be from Ohio, and it's always been Ohio against the world. It continued to be Ohio against the world. Ohio against the world. The audacity of this guy to say Ohio against the world. Ohio State has always been coddled by the media. The media always loves them. They're always ranked very highly in the coaches poll and in the preseason rankings, regardless of what they've done the previous year. For him to say Ohio against the world, and for the team to have an Ohio against the world flag is pretty pathetic. We can look at last year's college playoff as the perfect example of Ohio against the world. Michigan
destroys Ohio State
and wins the Big Ten championship. But Ohio State is able to make the 4 teams selected for the college football playoffs. How can Ohio State make the playoffs? They got destroyed in their last game. They don't even win their conference, and yet they're picked to play in the playoffs. And they have the audacity to say Ohio State versus the world.
Stop it.
Ohio State versus the world is a complete embarrassment and a pathetic way to motivate your team, as we have found out with them sneaking into the playoffs last year when they did not belong. Now, this is what Ryan Day said during his press conference after the game.
Ryan, was this a lunch pail performance?
Yeah, it was. And it was.
The question was it a lunch pail performance? This is in reference to the other part of the conversation with Lou Holtz, stating that Ohio State would need to bring their lunch pail because it was going to be a long game, which it was. So Lou was kind of right.
It was brewing for a couple days. Again, I said it earlier, I'll say it again. A lot of people took a lot of shots at this team over the last 48 hours. It really hit home to me. And, the way that our team played, not only did we physically get after these guys last year, but we did it again here at the end of the game. And I think it says a lot about this team. And, I'm really upset and disrespected by what Lou Holtz said publicly about our team and Ohio State and Buckeye Nation. And we're not going to stand for that. That's not even close to true. We had one bad half a couple years ago up in Ann Arbor. We did in the second half.
He had one bad half a couple years ago in Ann Arbor. So from my calculation, that would be the 2021 season? Last I checked, this was the final score from last year, 45-23. And if you look at the third and fourth quarter of last year's game, how many points did Ohio State score? Hello? Does he not acknowledge last year's game because that beating was so bad in their home stadium? Harbaugh remembers. Yeah! 2021, 27-42. Yeah! And last year, 2022, which Ryan Day doesn't want to recognize, even though that second half, they were destroyed. But Ryan Day doesn't remember that second half. I wonder what Tom Brady thinks. What was that, Tom? And Ryan Day continues with the reporters in the locker room after the game.
Get some stuff off your back. Yeah, well, I'm happy for our team because, a lot of kids, people were taking shots at this team. And, when it's
which were all true.
One play away, it really hurts. But we just finished it with one play right there. And it's very fitting. And that's what we just, celebrated in the locker room, and we'll continue to celebrate for a little while.
In case you were curious of what a Ryan Day celebration looks like in the locker room, let's take a look. What the hell was that? Ryan Day continued.
Hearing some of the things that we're saying. First off, it's not true. I don't know where people get off just saying things. It really
not true. I think it was just proven a couple minutes ago.
Upsets me. Put the film on. People make comments and they don't watch film. Our guy.
I think everybody watched the film.
They're physical. They do. They get after it. And they did it again tonight.
You said that was Coach Holtz?
Yeah. Yeah, it was.
Did you say it was Coach Holtz? So after the game, and he spoke to the sideline reporter, you may wonder, what did he do? Let's take a look. What the hell kind of celebration is that? Lou and Jim doing the dab. Something interesting I'd like to point out that this particular person happened to notice too. Jim Harbaugh passes his interviews off to his players. Ryan Day uses that time to threaten the elderly. This is so true. Anytime after a game, the reporters will always try to hunt down Jim to do an interview, and he will always pass it off to one of his players that played exceptionally well. He does this consistently and all the time, and here you got Ryan Day threatening an old man and wanting to pick a fight because of the things he said were actually true. It appears that Coach Jim Harbaugh owns some very large real estate in Coach Day's head. But rather than addressing it, he picks on old people. Man, these coaches are worried about pre-game shows and TV coverage. Get a life, man. It's entertainment. Just go win the games. This guy mentioned Lee Corso. Ryan Day mentioned Lou Holtz. You all calling out 90-year-old TV guys. So true. What a great point. If you're really a tough guy, why are you calling out old people? Washington State's head coach did a similar thing with Lee Corso, what he said during game day. What is with the sensitivity of these coaches all of a sudden? Prior past, you would hear them ask this question, and they would say, oh, I didn't hear any of that. Supposedly they didn't watch any pregame show, any analyst, didn't listen to the radio, didn't listen to any podcast. They were immune to it. All of a sudden, everyone is so sensitive to it. I like to call this the Deion Sanders effect. What Deion Sanders has done with the University of Colorado in just one season, all of college football has taken notice. This is all having to do with recruiting. Deion Sanders is become a household name with recruiting 5 and 4 star recruits now. In my theory, the other coaches have noticed his technique. If you listen to a Deion Sanders press conference, an example would be the Colorado State game. The Colorado State coach made a reference to him not taking off his hat or his sunglasses when he does interview. And Dion took that personally, and he brought it to the media and used that to fuel fire to his team. Other coaches have noticed it, ones that are weak and struggling, and they use the same technique to try and put the program on the map for the recruits. Now they're calling out people, a la Deion Sanders. I call this the Deion Sanders effect of college football. Allows the coach to put himself out there in the media, free publicity, so the recruits and kids are well aware of him. Seems like a tough-minded person who doesn't take crap, and the kids will love it. Another interesting thing about this method is, in 3 weeks, Deion Sanders generated more than $45 million in earned media for Colorado, according to Apex Marketing. So with all the hype and hoopla, your school is making a shitload of money. And what happens when you are a favorite, a fan favorite? All those college pregame media celebrities all want to be a part of your program, and they show up and support you and bring money into your school. And don't forget about the merchandising. That means more merchandise sales for that particular school or person. So other coaches at schools have taken notice, so all of a sudden they're going to start being brash. But they can't be too brash, right? Because they still have to play the games, and they don't want to give the other school bulletin board material. Now, this is the genius of Lou Holtz. Take a look at this. That's Day's choice. I can understand why he came after me, Holtz continued. He doesn't want to talk about Michigan because he's 0-2. He doesn't want to talk about the big game coming up against Penn State and against Michigan again. Ohio State is a good football team. I don't think they are a great football team. And that's why Ryan Day picked on Lou Holtz. One, he wanted to get his name out there and show he was tough to the recruits. And he was a tough guy. And two, he can't go talk about Jim Harbaugh or Penn State's head coach or Illinois' head coach. He's got to play those schools, and he doesn't want to give them any material. Ryan Day is a... So rather than Ryan Day calling out Michigan, Penn State, Michigan State, Maryland, he calls out an 86-year-old man because what he said was the facts. And he doesn't have the kahunas to go after a true big-name person to give them bulletin board material for a future game. And all in all, this is just a big marketing ploy. Put the school and their coach out on the map. All of the Deion Sanders effect that is working very, very well. Kids and recruits see this along with their families and think, this guy is a tough guy. He's going to stand up for me in our program. That's what it's all about. And what happens when you're out there? You get free publicity. You get these college game day shows coming up to your school and buying your merchandise. It's all that money. Until next time, thanks for watching.
Yo, I'm seeing all red. Got my vision blurry from the anger in my head. I'll never be second best. They gon' learn today what it feels to regret. You can't stop me now. The beast heavy.